We are all called to glorify God through the life He has blessed us with. Think about the following scenario. What would you do? A man found himself in the position of having to choose between good and evil. On one hand, he could choose to look the other way. If he did, he'd continue to receive a six-figure salary with an impressive office capping off a successful career. On the other hand, looking the other way would mean betraying his country, committing fraud, and turning his back on his principles and morals. What would you do? Here's the story of what he did.
Percival was an executive with U.S. Investigation Services, a company contracted to do national security background checks for those applying for federal positions or needing security clearances. He quickly realized that cases were being submitted that had only been partially investigated or not reviewed at all.
When I saw a company that was placing profit above our national security, I couldn't believe it, and I couldn't stand for it or sit by and watch it go on.
Blake Percival made a decision that cost him his career with what was the government's leading security clearance contractor. He ordered his 350 subordinates not to follow the fraudulent practices, and he was fired. The father of four filed a federal whistleblower lawsuit and came out on top.
And this morning, sources tell CBS News that a new congressional report exposes major flaws in government background checks. Nearly 5 million Americans hold some kind of security clearance.
The Justice Department has now accused the government's largest private security background check contractor of defrauding the country of millions of dollars.
Over 90% of the background investigations for both government employees and contractors are conducted by the Office of Personnel Management, including all background investigations for members of the military and Defense Department, civilian, and contractors.
USIS is the single biggest contractor that performs background investigations for the Office of Personnel Management, completing more than the government or any other contractor.
In the wake of continued releases by whistleblower Edward Snowden, federal prosecutors and the FBI suspect that the firm hired to clear Snowden, USIS, may have blundered his background check by cutting corners.
The complaint charges that the company used its close ties with the federal government to conceal its practice of flushing or dumping background checks.
Now, USIS also has a contract to provide support to the Office of Personnel Management in managing and overseeing investigations, work which appears to put USIS in the position of being a contractor to do the investigations and then to be the contractor overseeing their own employees doing the investigations.
In other words, USIS was checking its own work.
Now, the company has a $200 million contract with the U.S. government to conduct and review background checks, a contract it could lose if a federal investigation finds the company rushed background checks. Senator Claire McCaskill says if that's true, the government should yank the company's contract, issuing this statement to Fox. Private contractors are doing a huge bulk of these background checks, and it's nothing short of a national security threat if they're not conducting those checks with the care and attention needed.
The Department of Justice has now determined that these allegations have merit and filed a false claims suit. The department stated, and I quote, USIS management devised and executed a scheme to deliberately circumvent contractually required quality reviews of completed background investigations in order to increase the company's revenues and profits, end of quote. The company charged taxpayers for work it never performed on, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this, on 665,000 background investigations.
This is all laid out in a 25-page civil complaint filed by the Justice Department, which will now join a whistleblower's lawsuit against USIS that's underway in Alabama District Court.
The new report comes out later today. It also shows more than 450 law enforcement agencies do not give detailed records to the federal agency that does background checks. The New York and Los Angeles police departments are on that list.
Nobody has confirmed that USIS did that quality review. USIS has not confirmed it, nor has OPM, and interesting, nor has the Inspector General.
Are we handling background investigations in our government effectively and in a way that is deserving of our trust? It takes one incident for all of us to realize that here is a whole area of the government that most Americans have no idea, and most members of Congress have no idea how this actually works. And the more we dig in, the more we realize more work needs to be done.
Blake Percival is one of the most important whistleblowers in recent history here in America.
It's not always about what you get at the end by winning. It's that you played the game the right way.
In Montgomery, Lindsay Rogers, WSFA 12 News.